Hello. Is it working this time? I think it's working. I looked on Katie's iPad and it appears to be working this time. So we're gonna go with it. Are we live? We are live. Hello and welcome. After many technical errors and a couple of user errors, we are live. Welcome to the new house. First thing I've ever done in this house. I set foot in here and instantly started streaming. Very first thing I've ever done in here. Pretty cool to have a place like this. It's a bit echoey, so I apologize if there's some audio issues, but today, it's not about my room. Today is about cars and bids. Y'all know it, y'all love it. Doug DeMuro. Y'all love watching the cars and the bids roll in live. And for some reason I have a connection to a couple of the cars that are going up today, so let's hang out and watch it happen. What do I need to do next? I haven't streamed. This is like, you know, like when you don't ride a bicycle for like 32 years and then you do ride a bicycle. It's kind of difficult, you know? Alright, here we are. That looks right. Where's my mouse end? Where does the screen end? There, and there. That's the screen. I like that. There's cars and bids, or there it is. Can you read that? If not, you need glasses. There you go. Cars and bids. The code of cars and bids. I had to get the logo from somewhere, man. Check it out. So, let's see what's happening next. What's nice about cars and bids is that it all closes like linearly, in a linear fashion. So like we got 5 minutes, 15, 25, 35, 45. Gives a few minutes to take a look at the car and figure out what you want to do on it. Me, I will not be spending any money today at all. I spent all my money already on giggles. But on giggles. It's ubiquitous. Can't be a stream without giggles. There it is. First up, 2010 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT Ocho. I don't understand this thing, man. I don't, like... For a car that came out in 2010, it was way ahead of, like, the performance SUV movement, you know? Not a lot of places besides, like, Land Rover were doing these, you know, big, burly, fast SUVs. Obviously, Mercedes started doing it a while back, but if I remember right, 2010, you were just starting to get, like, the M SUVs from BMW, and then Jeep comes out with this, which is, like, just ridiculous. Off the wall, massive V8, turbocharged 7-liter. I mean, it was nuts. It still is nuts. I saw one of these one time at... it was at a rallycross. I used to do rallycross in my Audi A4, my 2002 Audi A4. And the first one I ever did, a guy was there in this, and he was arguing with the stewards because they were saying it was too top-heavy to participate in rallycross, which, if you don't know, is basically like a cone course set up in a field. And so you go around and you cut ruts into the field, and by the end of the day you're driving around in a dirt track. Well, the stewards were saying it was like, you can't do it in an SRT8, it's crazy, it's too top heavy, it's going to tear the field up. They were worried it had too much power. And it was actually in 2010, now that I think about it, so this car would have been brand new at the time. And yeah, I can kind of see where they're coming from. You know? I'm sure you've seen that Grand Tour episode where they're sitting there trying to drift, you know, and they've got the track hawk and they've got like 2 other things, and they're trying to do donuts or drift, one or the other, and it just won't do it. And I'm surprised it didn't tip over. But this 10 years ago, I almost certainly would tip over if you tried to drive that aggressively. Ooh, whoa, wait a minute. You see what I see? Look at this. Hold on, let me get my screens in the right place here. Can you see what I see? That's a Christmas song for y'all who didn't know. Copy image address. Let's blow it up over here. There. That is... them some old tires. Them some tires that need replaced. I wouldn't go very far on those. Those do not look good. I feel like that's probably due to driving pretty aggressively on, I mean, well, and just time, you know? Driving aggressively, warming up the outsides of the tire, and time. But I haven't looked at the mileage on this yet. I'm gonna guess it's not very much. It's probably done a lot of sitting in its days, like I have. That one's not worn quite as bad. But yeah, any cracks in a tire like that, I wouldn't want to drive it. The beautiful, luxurious, voluptuous interior. How many shades of plastic are going on in here? Boost and wideband. WeatherTech floor mats, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know, man. It's a Jeep, you know? It's a fast Jeep. It's a cool Jeep. For me personally, I don't think I would ever... Two-stage boost controller. Like this is a supercar. What was that? That was Katie. Hey, says Katie. Hello. Hello, Katie. Katie's my girlfriend. She's in the other room. Yeah, I tried to get her to come in here and commentate on vehicles with me, and she didn't want to do that. That's alright. She's baking cookies, which has something to do with like butter and flour. Her butter is too cold. Some weird... I don't know anything about cooking, but yeah, something's going on with the butter. I know that much. How many miles does this thing have on it? 49,500. Alright, so not much. And we're just on time, apparently, because somebody might be about to pay 28 grand. Nope. Oh, a $250 increment? Come on. You can do better than that. Trackhawk numbers for now. Well, the problem is it is, but it isn't, right? Like, it's not a Trackhawk. It's nowhere near as advanced in the driveline as the Trackhawk is. It might have the power of a Trackhawk, and if you have those sticky tires on it, you might get the straight line speed. You know, for the most part, but it's not a Trackhawk in quality. And that's about all I know about them, to be honest. What's this? I don't understand the culture of what is flagged and what isn't on cars and bids, because this was flagged as inappropriate. I don't think it's that inappropriate. What would you pay? What would Katie pay? $5? That is phenomenally ugly. I can't do that. Let's look at this incredible engine bay. So a 7-liter, what is that? I wonder what code that is. Oh, it's got rust too. Gee whiz. Oh boy. Look at that diff cover. 49,500 miles in New York, and the diff cover looks like it's going to fall off. That's not that bad, but I mean, that's a lot of surface rust. For a car that doesn't have any mileage on it, that's a substantial amount of surface rust. Goodness, they list every door separately on this list? Left door, left back door, right front door. Right rear door. Oh! Spring, left rear, left front. Are you kidding me? Look, they put 4 springs on this car. That's quite substantial. I wonder if he had to pay extra for that. Sold vehicle. Alright. Well, that didn't make any sense. 30 grand. Another thing that doesn't make any sense. What was the MSRP on this? $42,665. No, that's a 6.1 liter. So is this a swap? Okay, 6.1 liter V8 has been built into a 7 liter. Maybe I should read the description before I talk about it. Turbo Artisan Performance 426 Hemi Stroker Kit. Wow. Good lord. That's... A solid state's rated at 750 horsepower. And up to 900 when it's on race gas. But a dyno sheet is not available. That's... I feel like that might have hurt the price a little bit. You know, if you're paying 30 grand for 750 horsepower, you want to know you're going to get that horsepower. Oh, nice. Look at that, look at that. Let me get you in here close. There it is. Nice. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put myself over here. Or I'm gonna move the Can I do that? I'm gonna put myself down here. That's a little bit better. Alright. $30 grand, that's a lot of money. I don't know, I think the lack of dyno sheet hurt the price. But I mean, seriously, that's probably what... I don't know a lot about building an engine to that spec, but I would guess at least 15 grand to get the engine to that spec. You know, and then you gotta have a car to put it in. And he's got, you know, probably other upgrades throughout. So, build sheet is showing a, you know, Brembo, braking. Got the exhaust. It's been lowered. It's got a different hood. Hmm. 2010 and 2013 date codes on the tires. Okay, so we were onto something with the tires being bad. Those should not be driven on, in my opinion. Yeah, you gotta get new tires. Ooh, Celica ST in a weird year. That's interesting. Alright, so there we go. There's one. That's cars and bids. First down, many to go. What a weird car. 2011 BMW 550 X-Drive Gran Turismo. 30,900 miles. No accidents. Original $80,000 MSRP. I like how it says, to explore and occasionally create niches in the automotive industry. Its unexpected proportions. Cleared up a station wagon like amount of interior space, and headroom comparable to a crossover. And attractiveness compared to a brick wall. That's not I feel like this is one of these sorts of class of cars that maybe like future people will think are attractive, right? Like, occasionally when I show a car to my dad, who like, he was around for the 70s and 80s, you know, I'll show him a car and he'll be like, why do you want that? You know? Because he was around for it being like a ridiculous car that no one wanted. To me, this does not look good at all. But I can see like maybe my grandkids one day being like, I found this in a barn and it's really cool. It's this sort of hatchback looking thing. I'm gonna be like, what do you want that for, Sonny? Go study. I don't know. I don't know what I'd say. Go read a book. Don't talk to your sister like that. I tell you what, on the list of people you should buy a car from, the guy with, you know, full-length rubber floor mats on the ground in the garage. The guy who hangs his rake. Can we just take a moment? Hangs his rake on a pegboard and his shovel. This is the kind of guy you want to buy a car from right here. This car has never even considered being parked in a Walmart parking lot. Nor has it seen a single curb. Oh, well, maybe one curb. Looks like one curb. What's the inside look like? Yeah. Looks the same as every other. BMW around this time, they used basically the same interior in like the Z4, the 3 Series, the 5 Series. It all basically looked the exact same. And what's more, they stuck with that same interior for like 10 years. It looked really advanced when it came out. Well, not really. I mean, Mercedes, I think, looked more advanced, but it was a good-looking interior when it came out, but then they didn't change it for 10 years. I always like the way the gauges do that. You look at it from the passenger seat when the gauges are off, and it's just this, like, horseshoe. I think that's pretty cool. I rented a 2 Series of a similar year once. That was a lot of fun. But I can't really comment on this particular. That's a big-ass sunroof. Holy cow. That is some proper real estate for the sunroof. Also, that back door is, like, really long. Like a limousine long. Does it look that long on the outside? Not really. It must just be something with the door card making it look long. Oh, and then it's got this extra notch here. You know, I kind of get it. Having looked at the interior, I sort of get it. But at the same time, why not get a wagon, or a sedan, or an SUV? Why this thing that's all 3 of those things? Well, it's only 2, really. It's not an SUV. It can't go off-road, really. Well, it is an X-Drive, but I wouldn't want to go climb a mountain in this thing. Confusion. Chat, a lot of confusion. Oh, here we go. So let's watch that one close, then we'll look at that Land Rover. Oh. I need to log in. Let me come over here on the other screen and log in. Alright, we're logged in. Now it's getting serious. So thinking about this as just a 5 Series, like a 10-year-old 5 Series, with how many miles on it? 30,000? I think 20 grand's pushing it. And I think that's why we're seeing resistance here at 19, because $20,000 for a 10-year-old car, of any sort, you know. That's a lot of money. And especially, you could get, if you didn't care about mileage, you could get a couple-year-old 5 Series for, you know, 35 or something like that. Yeah, I don't blame him for not going over 20. That's 19 grand is a lot of money for this car, I'm not gonna lie. That's, I think they did pretty good. It's got a new battery, it's had a new high-pressure fuel pump. The water pump is still an open recall, that's interesting. I wonder how far you can push that, because, like, or what the problem is, I guess. What's the problem with the water pump? And then, you know, how long is that recall open for? Because you wouldn't want to go forever, you know. And also being 10 years old, you might have them throw a timing belt on there. Is it a belt engine? I'm not even sure. But alright, let's see what else we got. Listen, chat. There's no other way of saying this. Lifted Beetle. Lifted Beetle on a ZR2 frame. I'm gonna zoom you in here nice and good so you can see all the glory. So it's on an what I assume is an S10 ZR2 frame, 4.3 liter Vortec. It's $3 grand. It's turnkey ready apparently, except for it has a leak in the gas tank and leaks gas. I feel like that's a pretty easy thing to fix. Why is he selling right now? Because $3 grand, he's taking a hit. I mean, you can't get all this together for $3 grand, I don't think. That's pretty darn cool though. You know, all those Beetle builds that can't really go off-road, you know. This one could. I think that's pretty cool. You definitely need to get some rock panel or rock guards over here, some skid guards. I like the ladybug look on the roof. Got to do something with the front bumper situation. It looks a bit ridiculous. But overall, I mean, that's not bad. I saw that on Facebook the other day. I thought you guys would like that. This is starting tomorrow. Or today, sorry. Has started today. Man has insider knowledge about what's going to be posted tomorrow on Cars and Bids. $66,500 miles from Arizona. It's a 5-speed manual. Oh, that's fresh. Man. And you know it ain't perfect. We got a couple scratches here and there. I think it's kind of endearing though. The blue cloth, that's perfect. I like the standout blue on the shift boot. I think that's pretty cute. Boy, he really likes taking pictures of these seats. Yep, seats. It's had a dash cover on it. Is that just me, or is that turning blue there? That must just be the light turning that blue. Gosh, reminds me of my first car ever. I had an 88 Honda Accord. Oops, sorry. I had an 88 Honda Accord, and the dash is like broadly similar, like the way that it's put together and things. Except mine was maroon, so the entire dash was maroon, and the seats, and the carpet, and the shift lever, and like everything was maroon. Of course, it was 5 different shades of maroon. It's very detailed with the pictures here. I like when they do this. They take some golden hour photos, right? Like right at sunset, and they'll also take some midday photos showing you what it looks like to like a normal person. Like they'll put a flash on or something like that. I like that mix of photos of when I buy a car on Cars and Bids, not if. I'm gonna want that level of detail on the photos. I think a lot of people really appreciate that, you know? It shows that you wanna reflect the car not only on its best day, like with this like depth of field sort of grainy photo like that, but you also want to just show what it really is. We've all seen ads on Craigslist where it's like the best photos on earth and you get there and it just doesn't live up to them. That's not what this is, you know? They're giving you opportunities to see what it really is. What is that? Oh, that's the jack. That's interesting. Boy, it's utilitarian in the back, isn't it? I mean, the Celica was... I mean, it's a performance coupe in a sense, but it wasn't the Supra, you know? It was designed to be economical as much as it was to be a sporty little coupe. So they're not trimming the entire trunk, you know? They're not putting really high-quality materials where they don't need to. The high quality is under the hood. That's a 2-liter, if I remember right. And it will last forever. If it doesn't, Toyota will show up at your door and demand to know what happened. It's in really good shape. Boy, that's in really good shape. What would it be like to live in Arizona, you know? Or you can just drive a 30-year-old car and it looks like it just rolled off the showroom floor. Wow. You give that about 10 minutes here in Missouri, it would look terrible. Primarily Japanese auto service. That's the descriptive name. What do you do? Primarily Japanese. Well, it's descriptive enough. New battery. Looks like they were looking for an oil leak. Not really sure what they found, but new distributor, clutch slave cylinder, resurfaced the flywheel. Here, they went back. Okay. Ignition value OAC system. Install new aftermarket heater core. Refill and bleed engine cooling system. The AC fan ran continuously after that service. Oh, there's a lot to read here. I don't want to spend too much time on this. We got other stuff to watch, right? Oh, speak of the devil. Wow. Is that in the Midwest? Yeah, it's in Kentucky. There we go. Independence, Kentucky. You see these things all over the Midwest still. Even the two-doors. I mean, I've seen a few of these two-doors in my small town. They're pretty common out here still. Even in original condition, too. It's funny because this might be a good example, might be the best example of a vehicle that, like, you walk up to some, like, you know, 40, 50-year-old person working at a garage, and you're like, hey, I'm really excited. I found this Jeep Cherokee from the 90s. And they're like, did you pay $500 for it? You're like, no, I stole it for $9,300. And they're like, are you high? Like, are you nuts? Why would that be a $9,300 vehicle? The Cherokee, I think, is the poster child for not being aware that a vehicle has increased in value. To be fair, this one's a tail end. It's 2001. And it's in phenomenal shape. But yeah, there are certain cars where you walk up to people of the people who were around when these were new, and you're like, why would you pay that kind of money for that? But I like it, and that's what I like about this site. You know, it caters to cars like this that, you know, aren't necessarily defined as collector vehicles to the greater spectrum of car enthusiasts in the world. You know, but. Yeah, to the everyman, that's pretty darn cool. You got the nicest Cherokee Sport on earth. You know, that's some bragging rights right there. I'll tell you something, YouTube. I've got a power tool. Yes. Be amazed. We finally got the Triumph going. For those of you who follow the channel, the Spitfire is actually operational now, which is really cool. I haven't put any videos out about it because I've been super busy, but it does move. And this I brought home today because the Spitfire actually made it home to the garage. Wasn't really sure if it would or not, but sometimes you just gotta send it. And this will apparently allow me to remove the steering wheel with a 1 1/16. I'd rather just things be like 8 millimeters, 9, 10, 11. That makes sense to me, but 1/16, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Anyway, this will allow me to remove the steering wheel, align it properly, because right now it's at like a 20-degree angle, and that will make it a lot better to drive. This is like a mental thing. There you go. Power tools, by the way, changing my life. I finally saved up and got myself some good quality power tools, and my god, I think it saved me like 5 hours just on working the Spitfire, like taking the wheels off, putting the ball joints on, you know, tightening things up, breaking things free. I can't believe I didn't do it sooner. I'm really happy to be in a position where I can finally get some. And I got nothing but good things to say about the Milwaukee M18 mid-torque half-inch drive impact wrench. I'll see what's up next. Gear Godzilla! Woo! This is a 2010 Nissan GTR Premium. 14,400 original miles. One owner, Texas owned, some modifications. Damn. That's really low mileage. And it's the second year as well, so that's really something. I love how they say it's still sold new in 2021. That's because it's a Nissan. If Nissan retires a car before 15 years, they're like, something's going on. Something's wrong. I like the GTR, and particularly the first early GTRs. I do have experience with the GTR. I actually rented one of these in California when I used to live in California. I was able to rent one of these and drive around the California coast. We left San Francisco, South San Francisco, and drove to La Honda, and then took, well, actually by way of Alice's restaurant. Yeah. We went to Alice's up in the woods, and then went down, I think it's 89, is it? 86? To La Honda. And then we went all the way out to the coast, and just did that blast back and forth a few times, and that kind of ate up the Turo mileage. But what a phenomenal car to do it in. And for like a really inexpensive supercar, I call it a supercar, to be honest. It turns so many heads. So many heads. You'd think we were driving a Bugatti, you know? It just, everybody looked at us. Every car person in a remotely interesting vehicle would turn and look. We had people chasing us on the highway. It was really cool. It was just really fun. And the car itself, you know, I was pretty familiar with that route down La Honda at the time. Let me see if I can pull it up on the map. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But, so if you look here on the map, if you look at, so you got San Francisco over here, well, what people would call the Bay Area, right? You got San Jose, which is where I was living in Santa Clara at the time. And you come out here, Alice's restaurant is up here. Should be, right? No, that's, Alice's restaurant is here. Yes. So you start somewhere down here, you know, you come up through any number of windy roads that end up in the woods in Alice's restaurant. And you take, it's 84, sorry, down La Honda. Here's La Honda, which is a small town out there. And then you go out and you get to the ocean. And it probably takes like 25 minutes or something like that, but it's one of the best roads I've ever been on. I actually wrecked a motorcycle right here where these hearts are. That was where I had an motorcycle accident. That's a story for another day. But the GTR was so incredible on that drive. It's telepathic. It does everything you tell it to do. And it has way more abilities than you have. You know, unless you're a racing driver or something like that. It's just you can comfortably push safely. Obviously, it's public roads, right? But you can comfortably push your comfort zone. And you know that the car is going to protect you. Unless you violate the laws of physics, you should not be able to crash a GTR. I mean, unless you hit oil or, you know, a coolant spill or just a wet patch, you know, or something like that. Short of like some environmental reason or just violating physics, you just go in way too hot. You should not be able to wreck a GTR. And I like that. Personally, I like, you know, in my cars and my motorcycles, when I race motorcycles, I like the vehicle to be more capable than I am. By a wide margin. You know, I want it to be something where it can grow into. So what about this one? Where are all the buyers hiding? I'm going to vote you up because I agree. Oh, let me get my head out of the way here. There we go. One thing I will say about the GTR, I think it was a 14 that we rented, and I think the transmission was different than the ones in the earliest GTR. The thing shifted like a truck. Like, it seriously was like, boom, you know, it would jolt you in your seat. It felt like something was wrong with the transmission, so I called the guy who rented us on Turo, and I said, hey, listen, I think there's something going on with the transmission. He said, no, that's just the way it is. And now that I think about it, he might have said something to the effect of, it's a Turo car. Like, everybody beats on it, you know? But you think about, like, in my mind, this car, it's unclear what it competes with. Because performance-wise, if all you want is performance, this thing is swinging up there with the big guns. I mean, you're comparing it to like a 458 or something, you know? You're comparing it certainly to an R8, you know, an Exige. An Exige is probably a different class of handling, but for the kind of money you're going to spend here, I agree. Why is this not higher? Like, this thing hardly has any miles. You can get one with twice the mileage on it for this. Hell, they were in the 50s for a while there. I know I was watching them for a while after I got the opportunity to rent that one. I was like, I'm going to buy one. Obviously, I can't afford it at all. But I was like, you know, I remember watching, they were going for like 75 with low mileage, you know? They were going for 55 with high mileage. So for this to go for 62, what's 14,000 miles? What's going on with this? Modifications include 20-inch track edition wheels, rotors and pads, boost logic exhaust tinted windows. That's all the modifications? So that couldn't have been it. Whoops. Whoops. He even put PPF on the front. I don't know. Yeah, if his father had purchased it new. I mean, besides the fact that it's got really low mileage, it probably doesn't have any sort of maintenance to speak of, really. It looks like it's worth 62. That's what my dad says, you know, it's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. Whether it makes sense or not. In this case, it doesn't. I mean, I would have expected this to be 70 or more, easily. 75. Whoever bought this just got a GTR that costs as much as one with 3 times the mileage, 4 times the mileage, 5 times the mileage. Wow. Oh, don't look at my freaking filing system. Nope. Oh, I'm gonna get copyright struck for 0.1 of a second of a song. Here you go. That's you gotta drive like a bro, you gotta wear the watch. You gotta do the whole thing. There's the GTR, ladies and gentlemen. In the California IA. I can't believe that's the only video I took of like one of my favorite automotive experiences ever. Speaking of favorite automotive experiences ever, 1982 Mazda RX-7. What trim level is it? S trim, okay. Oh wow. Received a complete PPG respray in the OEM color in 2018. It's a 2-owner car. So if you don't know, this is a 1.1 liter rotary engine. Not a lot of power, but it's a very linear power delivery. It's very frugal. It gets like 30 plus miles per gallon. And for such a light car, even though it's only got a 1.1 liter, it makes a lot of specific horsepower, at least for the era, if you compare it to an internal combustion piston engine. But it actually moves pretty well. I mean, it'll get up and go. And you can rev it way out. You got a 1.1 liter making 100 horsepower and 105 pound-feet of torque. That's quite a bit. Modifications. Wheels, louvers. Vinyl seat poster with velour inserts. Rust. Paint fade. Oh, on the plastic trim. Wear on seat bolsters. Wear on the interior plastic trim. Wear on the floor mats and carpets. Some rust on the underbody. I wonder why these guys only put 400 miles on it since 2021. That's curious. Let's take a look at it. It better look really good. Brand new PPG paint. Your badge ain't straight, friend. First thing. Right off. Badge. Not straight. God, that looks right with louvers. That looks just right. I actually have a connection to this car as well. A girl I was dating at the time, well, her mother passed away and she had an RX-7. It was an 84. It was a GSL, if I remember right. It was light blue, with, I believe, a light blue interior as well. 5-speed. Had like 50,000 original miles on it. And it wasn't perfect. I mean, her mom had driven it around a lot. She remembered going to school in it when she was growing up. And yeah, it had been used. But it was in really good shape with really good low mileage. I could be misremembering, but it wasn't a lot of mileage, I know that. And it was just a lot of fun. And what I liked about it was that it's really under the radar. It's really not something that people in traffic are going to look twice at. Well, maybe this one because you got these big louvers on it. Those are really aggressive louvers. That's some Tron stuff going on there. And only on the back, too, not on the side. Panda Sports look good on everything. Those aren't Panda Sports, but they're close enough. I like that they left the faded badges. That's a nice touch. Oh, those seats are something. Yeah, it's a step up from the stock seats for sure. Got the clock there. That's a neat detail. It was a really fun car. That is an option there. I think it's part of the S trim package. I think the clock, the one we had, didn't have a clock on it, and it didn't have the tuner dealio bolted on under here. There's some models that, I think the GSL SE actually has it integrated into the center stack, if I remember right. That's a neat wheel too. It looks like an earlier wheel than the one that we had. Well, this was an 82 and ours was an 84. Let's see if I can find you a picture of it. Maybe I'll look at the content before I put it on the stream this time. So I don't get copyright stricken. Let's see. How long ago was that, man? Gotta scroll a long way. Anyway, price-wise, let me make a price prediction before this thing goes somewhere. I think they're going up. And I think it's one of the reasons is it's inconspicuous. You don't see this in traffic and go, wow, that's a really expensive classic car. People just sort of look the other way because it's a really advanced design for its time. And I think that's playing to its strengths these days. People are starting to realize that. 5 years ago, this would have been a $5,000 car, even as it sits. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go for $8,000. But looking at these cars earlier in the week when they came up, I was expecting $7,000. So, I mean, 73, I think somebody really wants it. I would say at 7,300, somebody's paying the extra 300, is what I would say, just to have it. There you go. 7,300 Dolores. Mucho Dolores. But Dolores nonetheless. That didn't make any sense. Trying to look here on my Instagram. Here's evidence that I actually rented a GTR from this guy right here. I don't know if he still does things. Turo Rentals out in California, but it was a lot of fun. That was just one of the best days in a car that I've ever had. It was actually the only car of that caliber I've ever gotten the opportunity to drive. Here we go. Here's my friend Joe, his Celica, and then there is my ex-girlfriend's RX-7. So there you go. The 80s are back. It was just really nice, you know? It was a car that you could floor it all the time, and you would always have linear power delivery. It doesn't have enough power to break itself loose or anything. So you could just drive like a complete hoon, and it wasn't a problem. It was smooth, it was refreshing, it was just nice. And again, the styling, in my opinion, is way more late 80s than it is early 80s. People wouldn't necessarily look at it as a classic car as much as they would just sort of an older car. I think it's because the styling was pretty advanced for its time, and it just has the right lines. I wouldn't be surprised to, I think Haggerty or someone like that recently put out a post like, oh, these are the cars you should watch for in the coming years, you know, that'll go up in value. And the RX-7, the FA I'm not really sure what it is. RX-7 was on the list, and I agree. I completely agree. Just has a good look about it. The louvers, they kind of mess with the side profile a little bit. It's just a good car. It's dependable as heck as long as you got a mechanic who knows what a rotary is. It is getting harder to find them in around here anyway. It's hard to find these in a condition that is like responsible. You get a lot of these kids who just tear into it, and to be fair, they're used to working on like diesel trucks or American V6s. You know, they get in there, they see a rotary. You gotta have the right tools. You know, you gotta know what you're doing if you're getting into the apex seals and things. You gotta know the signs to look for it, to know that you need to get in there in the first place. It's all just a bit different for a normal engine. So to find one that's been well looked after, it's a bit dirty under the hood. It seems like there's two schools of thought on cars and bids. You got Team 1 that says, you know what, I'm going to leave the engine bay filthy, just because, you know, that's the way the car is. You know, why wouldn't we? Oh, I didn't realize that chat was just hanging out on the screen. Let's get rid of that. And you got Team 2, which I'm on, that would say, let's clean the engine bay. I'm not going to hit it with tire shine or anything ridiculous. I just want it to be presentable, you know? I don't know. I can see both arguments, you know? You wash the outside of a car to prepare it for a sale, so why not wash the engine bay too? But on the other hand, this is reflective of how it was really treated. The engine bay wasn't cleaned every 5 minutes. It probably wasn't repainted when the car was. So, here's what it is. This is how it is. I can see both ways. I'm not really sure which one is right or wrong, but personally, I think I would clean it. Just like it, you know? That was one that I'd love to have. That RX-7. If I could buy any of the cars on this list today, that would be it. It wouldn't even be this. It wouldn't be the M2 competition. I know it's blasphemous, but like... huh. I'm my father's son, you know? I can't see spending 63 grand on a car. Even if I had 63 grand in my pocket, I'd be like, ooh, that's a cool RX-7 for 7 grand. Wouldn't change anything about that. Actually, what do the comments say on the RX-7? Wow. This person says they put 667,000 miles on their RX-7, on the original engine. My secret was a regular oil change with a fresh oil filter every 3,500 miles, as well as religiously replacing all belts and hoses every 18 months, regardless of wear, with genuine OEM Mazda parts, and otherwise simply following suggested maintenance to the letter, as specified in the owner's manual. There you go. That comment right there says it all. These, I personally don't think these are going to be this cheap for much longer. There are just too few of them in good shape. Yeah. I think this is going to catch on in a big way pretty soon. Or it won't, and it'll stay inexpensive, so maybe I'll have a hope of owning one one day. That would be nice. M2 competition, Super GT, confirmed. The streamer Super GT has an M2 competition. I don't know, but I bet if you went through a who's who of BMW owners, there's a lot of big names with an M2 competition. Evidently, this is the car that will be remembered of this generation, both in terms of performance, chassis handling, just overall dimensions and size. everything I've ever read people say about this car, it's just right. I think this is going to be... I think the M2 of this generation in the 2 Series is going to be like the E46 M3 was when I was growing up. Where it was like, this is the best car you're ever going to drive, hands down, bar none. You know, unless you want to get into Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren territory. This, for handling, performance, braking, acceleration, all balanced, it was the E46 M3. And now I think the torch is being passed to the M2. And specifically the M2 competition. I don't actually have any first-hand experience with these, but I am part of the BMW Car Club of America. Actually, vice president, co-vice president, of a chapter of the BMW CCA. So, I've heard a lot of people talking about these. I've seen them up close a few times. And I've talked to people in the club who either know someone who has one or have one themselves. Nothing but rave reviews. Don't know how to price it, though. No idea. Huh. There's no way I'm owning one of these bucktooth grill BMWs. That's not that bad. The entire front of the car is a grill these days. I got to agree with this commenter here saying, listen, don't pay any attention to KBB and Edmunds and all that stuff like that. I totally agree. I think there's a lot of people out there, and I'm certainly one of them. You buy a car because it's that specific car. You're not just in the market for... You know, I wasn't in the market for a Spitfire when I found the Spitfire. I wasn't in the market for a Fiesta when I bought the Ford Fiesta. I don't necessarily think that the person buying this specific M2 with this low of mileage, it's basically brand new, is just looking for an M2. I think they're buying this one. If that makes sense. What's the MSRP on one of these? So they're trading with 25,000 miles in the 62 to 67 range. This was 64. Oh, reserve not met. Well, I don't blame you, I guess, if they're going on other websites. You know, Carvana's got 62.5 on one with 25,000 miles. No, it's a 2020 as well. I mean, I don't know what it would be, but... Parking thinks it would have been 65. I don't know. It's hard telling. Car that new and that exclusive, who knows what they wanted for it. See how the interior, though, isn't, like, very far departed from the interior we saw earlier? Like, it's pretty much the same... two-level design. You've got your vents on top, your infotainment, as it were, on the bottom. Or your controls, rather, your infotainment on top, controls on the bottom. It works. It works. But if... I'm trying to picture, like, if I were a BMW owner already, I already had an E46 M3, you know? And I'm sitting here thinking I'm going to spend $65,000 on the next best thing, the M2 competition. And you get in it, and the interior looks like it's from 2009. It would be a bit underwhelming. I just would not be impressed. Now, I'm not saying there's a car out there that does it better. I just think BMW needs to sort of spice it up. There's a lot of plastic on this dash. You know? This is a $65,000 car. And there's plastic and more plastic and some plastic over here. And at least you got the carbon fiber on the tunnel here a little bit, but I don't know. It just seems lacking, doesn't it? Is that just me being picky? It just seems a bit underwhelming for how much money it is. If you're familiar with other BMWs. If you don't know anything about BMWs and you get in this, you go, ah, it's fine. You know, it is an interior, it does work. I don't know. I think BMW would benefit from spending less time on redesigning the outside and the grills of the cars, and more time on the interior. But it's easy to complain when you don't have one, isn't it? Like the seats. Seats are way better than the dash. Those are really nice looking seats. Aggressive bolsters, that looks really nice. What's next? Oh, come on now. Ladies and gentlemen, RS6. 2003 Audi RS6 was the only year the original RS6, well, this generation RS6, was brought to the United States. Didn't come here in the other years of this generation of the A6 platform. We didn't get the RS6 again until very recently, actually. This is a twin-turbocharged 4.2-liter V8, making several hundred horsepower. All-wheel drive. You got it all. The only real downside is that this only came with an automatic transmission. The transmission is a known weak point, and a lot of people will go through the trouble of swapping in a 6-speed. A 6-speed would greatly increase this car's resale value regardless of mileage. Even in good condition, I've seen these go for 17 grand, something like that. In fact, the other day, here are the stats if you want to take a read on this while I look this up. I found one on SF Bay Craigslist, San Francisco Bay Craigslist. Let's see here. It's probably not even up anymore. No, it isn't. It's not up anymore. But here's an A6 4.2, which is a really rare spec of the A6. It's basically the RS6 without the turbos. I do believe it has a different transmission. Obviously, some of the underpinnings are probably going to be a little different quality, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, closer than far to being an RS6, and it's $7,500 bucks. I mean, that doesn't bode well. Let's hop down to Los Angeles. Oh, not there. No, oh well. It was basically this car, but it was going for 12 grand. And it had more mileage, but 92 is not exactly low mileage in the world of collector Audis that have, you know, 12,000 miles or whatnot. This was the first car that I ever saw that wasn't a muscle car that impressed me with its speed. Like, growing up here in the Midwest, the Midwestern United States, if a fast car took off from a light, it was a Camaro, it was a Corvette, it was a Chevelle, you know, it was a Charger. The first time I saw a European car put down the power and like it made my jaw drop was an RS6, and it was the same exact color. This is Daytona gray, that's what it is. Daytona gray. It was in Springfield, Missouri, where I went to college. And I talked to the guy at the gas station. I said, hey, that's awesome. I have an A4. It's a Dolphin Gray A4. It looks very similar. I love it to death. And he said, yeah, I've had this thing for years. And then when he left the gas station, he put it down. And this thing just fucked off, dude. It was crazy. It was like I said, it was the first time a car that wasn't like an American muscle car made me go, holy shit, that's really fast. The second time was an M5. Yeah, it was the M5 generation that nobody wants now because of all the, was it head bolt problems, is it? I can't remember. I think it's head bolt issues. Like the 09 M5s. that era. That was the second time. I was riding with my friend. He was in a 7 Series. Isn't there a 7 Series going up for auction here soon? Let's see. He was in his 7 Series. I was riding with him, and he pulls up next to this this M5. Or, yeah, this M5. And he's like, oh, I got this. And I said, no, you don't. He goes, what do you mean? It's a 5 Series. I said, no, that's an M5. It was one of these. Because it's got the little V10 badge. I remember I was sitting on the side of the car, and I saw the M5 badge over here, and I was like, we're about to get screwed over. And we did. We got embarrassed. A friend of mine saw one of these in St. Louis a couple days ago. Nissan Cedric. I mean, he almost didn't really take a picture because it looks like just an Infiniti from the generation. I do like the way the doors are cut off, though. I think that's a really neat touch. Like, pillarless back doors, you know? That's always been one of my... It's been a turn-on for me for a long time. Pillarless back doors. It's a very Bentley look, and when he sent me the snap of it, he said, I almost thought it was a Bentley. Because it sort of does look like a Bentley. Look at the Continentals from that era, and they sort of look like this. Here's Bentley Continental. And there's the Nissan Cedric. What do you do? I've rarely ever seen one of these go for more than 20 grand. I think the most expensive one was a 6-speed swap car. The most expensive I remember seeing anyway. I would imagine this has some pretty strong maintenance records to be going this high. 450 horsepower, 415 pound-feet of torque. Oh boy, due to the modifications performed, no dyno sheet provided. What modifications have we got? Ultrasonic ECU tune, braided brake lines, tinted windows, audio interface. Okay, so a stage 1 tune. With nothing else? Like with no exhaust or anything like that? No air intake? Wow, yeah, strong maintenance records. Look at that. Sunroof frame and assembly, windshield washer, pump, valve cover, gasket, coolant, thermostat, serpentine belt and tensioner, cam plug, valve cover, screw, timing belt, water pump, tensioner, gasket set, cam, gear, bolt. Good lord. Sway bar links. That is a comprehensive service. Transmission filter and gasket, cabin air filter replaced. Electrical plug connector seals, that's a little vague. Power steering fluid flushed. I prefer to just let my power steering fluid leak out and then pour new power steering fluid in. That seems to work. That is some really comprehensive maintenance. Headlamp washer assembly and frame. Door latch assembly, power steering pump and pressure hose replaced. Wow. That door latch assembly, that's something that happens on a lot of cars, but notably on Audis of this generation, the doors are just heavy. I mean, my A4 is sagging a little bit now. The door, when you pull it shut, it kind of hops up a little bit onto the door latch. Really, I need to get it adjusted or buy another one. But, I can't be bothered. This person was bothered. That right there is why this car is going for so much money. It was owned by the kind of person who will replace the door latch when the door latch is not performing as it should. 18 grand? Wow, $18,000. Also, to go 92,600 miles, and there's no curbing on the wheels. Not a single curb mark. Let's get to the wheel pictures. Yeah, there you go. Not a single curb mark on those wheels. The front has not been drilled for a oh, it has been drilled, sorry. Has been drilled for a license plate, though. That's alright. Boy, that's a nice picture there, isn't it? Oh, got a leaf ball on. That's cool. There you go. That does look good. No? The 90s styling, early 2000s styling was a bit boring. But right at the tail end, it started to make sense. Right at what I like to call the end of the rectangular headlight era. You know, the B7 A4 had angled headlights. The Mercedes coming out at the time had shaped headlights. But this had the rectangular headlights, the same as you would have found anywhere else in the 90s. But it does it well. It looks good, it looks optimistic, it looks hopeful, it looks happy. And it somehow looks really powerful at the same time. I think it's easy to not like the A6 body style because you always see them in really crappy condition. But when you see one in really good shape like this, man, it makes sense. Stock exhaust? That's not stock exhaust tips, is it? Oh, maybe they've been painted. Yeah, you can see the paint coming off. Wow. There are cars on the dealer lot that aren't that clean. The wheels aren't that clean on them. Wow. Yeah, it was also the tail end of this sort of console. The console that my dad and I are building for the 2002, my BMW 2002, is sort of based on this. It's got the sidewalls, you know, that sort of encapsulate the console. That's a very 80s, 90s style thing. And you don't really see that a lot anymore. But it was really popular in the era. And again, this was the tail end of that sort of console design. Before they went to the, you know, the A5 style console where it's like all laid out and stuff. And largely the dash shape is about the same as it was in the 80s, the 90s, and I mean the Audi 80, the Audi 90, like the 100, 200, all basically the same dash shape as this. Just a really timeless setup, I think. God dang. Oh, I've got a little wear on the steering wheel there. I'm going to have to deduct $2,000 off my price. No pixels burned out in the center screen. I understand that. I mean, there's some... You can just go buy any old surround off an A6 on eBay for 10 bucks and fix that. Same thing happened on my A4 though. The materials they used in certain places just weren't very good. And that's one of the places that just wasn't really that good. Beautiful carbon. A little wear on the center console, but again, most buttons in these cars will look horrible by now. Do I still have that A6 pulled up? I don't think I do. Well, anyway. Nope, don't have it. Well, anyway, they're usually worn out by now. How much time have we got? Was that the last one? Well, I might have been. Here in a minute, we'll have to look at the ones that sold before I got on. There's the 4.2-liter V8 twin turbocharged engine. Making 400 and... what was it? Making 450 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. Look at the getaway sticks on that girl. God, it's just so good. Is that a crack? It is a crack. I have to take $1,000 off of that. That's not bad. Again, I guess I appreciate the honesty and not cleaning off the bottom of the car, you know. It just is what it is. It's a driven car, you know. Really not bad under there at all, though. Some of these pot metal surfaces will just corrode even if they just sit in the air for 20 years, so... That's really not bad at all. A little wetness going on here. Is that wetness? There's nothing to leak around here. Why would it be wet? Look at all that venting for the brake. Wow. $88,000 window sticker. Wow. 2 keys. Thick binder full of receipts. Nice granite countertop. If we're going to have to judge a guy based on his counters, this is doing pretty good. That's not a real service receipt, is it? Good God. 13 and 7 and 5. That might very well be. I'm not going to sit here and do the math, but it says it's $31,000 in work. Holy cow. I like a person who uses Excel. Good Lord. This is kind of what my Excel sheets look like too. Maybe actually better than my Excel sheets. Well, there you have it. That's how to sell a car on Cars and Bids. Make an Excel spreadsheet of it. Keep every receipt you've ever used. Have nice granite countertops. And a nice garage, right, to display the car in. Don't wreck it. You know, maybe keep it in decent shape when you own it. And present that information in such a way that it proves how responsible you are. Oh, that was the paint damage that was repaired. Look, he's got a 3.2 liter TT. In a good color, too. That's cool. I like that color a lot. I believe it's a 3.2 because of the wheels. Man, that's a nice color. I thought he was drawing a face on here for a second. Well, once you guys, you got a little damage right here. There's a little more damage in this region. And if you go over here, there's a lot more damage. And you just gotta look over here, you know? See the extra damage. And then around in this region, all damage. That's the damage right there. I can hear Katie over there in the other room just like sighing audibly. Well, there you have it. You know what? Let me pull up my email real quick and we'll take a look at the cars that already sold earlier that I wasn't around for. Oh, my water bill is ready. Hang on. Let me get all these cars together. And we'll look at the bids as well. The cars and the bids. Did that big old lifted truck sell yesterday? Let's see here. Here it is. Alright, let's try these out. Does that look good? Can you see that? Alright. These already sold earlier today. 2008 Saab 9.3 convertible yellow edition. I thought it was red. Very descriptive. Yellow edition. What engine does this have? 2-liter? Owned in Boston? That was not a Boston accent. 60,000 miles. Automatic transmission. This seems like a neat car. Looks like you hit a parking thing or something like that. That's not a bad car. I want to get those scratches fixed because it doesn't look very good. Doesn't look like patina as much as it looks like damage. That's not bad. Kind of the tail end of Saab. And a weird design. Was this parallel by any, like, voxel or anything like that, or was it just a Saab design? Those taillights have, like, 7 dimensions. That's not bad. What's the interior? Oh, boy. Yeah. Not a fan. Never really been a fan of the flat... I think like the flat like slab design worked really well for Saab in the 70s and 80s, but you bring it into a modern interior and for some reason it just doesn't work for me. It looks like it wasn't designed. It just looks like it was thrown in there. Not bad though. I mean, really, for something you could just get out on the weekends and go have a good little drive. That's nice. 2000, was that the last year of Saab? 2008? Last year of Saab. Well, I mean, defunct in 2016, but like... Okay, 2014 was the last year of Saab. Okay. Seems like a lot of money. But then again, it's not even 15 years old yet, so... I mean, that's okay. ...2006 Mini Cooper S John Cooper Works GP. Contender for the longest name of any car except for the, what was it, Porsche Panamera, Gran Turismo Turbo, E-Hybrid, GTS or something. I can't remember what it was. Some ridiculous length of words. Who signed it? Was that John Cooper? No. By Michael Cooper. Well, that's cool. The seller notes that the dashboard has been signed by Michael Cooper, John Cooper's son, Richard Steinberg, a former executive at Mini, and an Elvis impersonator. Because why not? You know? The trifecta is complete. All my best, Elvis. Alright. I like how his son signed it as John Cooper, though. Maybe that's his name. Don't know. good looking car. I love these minis, man. I know I already said I'd have the RX-7, but it would be a close second to have one of these. A John Cooper Works GP, like the best mini you can get from a really good looking era of mini. What is it's R53? That's right. I love it. It just looks so cool. There's actually one outside the window right now. One of the neighbors has. It's like a burnt orange. She's a really eccentric lady and she's really cool, but she has a burnt orange R53 Mini. I think it looks really cool. Just the right size. Hot hatch done a little differently, you know. Just looks freaking sweet in my book. One of these days, man, this would be one to have in the warehouse as the collection of eccentric hatchbacks and wagons continues to grow. There must be a Mini. I drove my friend's Mini Cooper S, Trey. Drove my friend's Mini Cooper S, which was a lot of fun. And I can't imagine it being, I think, more firmed up, right? The GP? Let's read about it. More powerful supercharged engine, upgraded suspension, and a mechanical limited slip differential, and the rear seats were removed to decrease weight. 157 of 2,000 produced worldwide. I think it was only 2,000. Somebody I went to college with had one. In college, in like 2011. Huh. Well, anyway. That's the right color to get it in, though, for sure. I mean, that's... Was that an STI? Yeah. That's the right color. It's the right shape. We'll see that chassis brace. There it is in the back. That's pretty cool. Just to tell that you mean business. Shift lights on the dash. That's cool. Elvis. Aux input. That worked pretty well. It's just all hard plastic. There's not a lot to wear off on it. I like the yep. There you go. There's the chassis brace. I think it's pretty cool for two reasons. One, it's obviously badass. But secondly, who's sitting in the back seat of a Mini anyway? You might as well have more storage capacity back there. That's actually pretty economical. You get a bunch of stuff in the back of this thing. Baby pedals. That's in really good shape. It kind of looked like Doug. Look at that. Doug out here taking his own pictures. Here we go again with the unwashed engine bay. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely honest, right? You're not making it prettier than it is just to sell it. But like, I just don't understand why you would wash the outside of the car. Make it all look great, you know? When obviously you don't wash it every day. And then leave the interior of the engine bay just looking like dusty. You know, at least hit it with a power washer. At least hit it with a power washer once in a while. And that way when you do it to sell the car, it's not like the first time in 5 years, you know. Is that burned on there? Looks almost burned, that sticker. Mini recommends Castrol. Where's the battery? Oh, it's in the trunk, right? Let's see, it was back here. Yeah, it's in the trunk. That's cool. I always like how the headlights move with the hood. And I'm not really sure how they got away with that, because wasn't there a law that you couldn't have the the headlights and taillights be on a movable surface. I never understood how they got away with that. Katie, I've never in my life heard of washing the engine bay. That's because farm trucks don't need washed. I'm kidding. That's... No, I mean, well, I guess a lot of people don't, you know? Oh, that's cute. Look at that. That could be us, bae. That could be us. Is that like a Hot Topic, is that a leather band with those rivet things in it? That used to get at like Hot Topic in 2006? I think that's what that is. There you go. No, Katie's right, though. I mean, a lot of people don't. I kind of don't unless there's a leak or something, you know? Speaking of that, guys, I'm sorry to say I found a leak on the Triumph the other day. Here's what it looked like. Here's this monstrosity. What do you think about this, Katie? This should be right up your alley. This should get your blood flowing. 2001 1500 HD. I wasn't even aware of the existence of a 1500 HD until about 2 months ago. We were sitting at Sonic and a guy drove up and I'm like, did he just make that up? Like, did he just make his own badge? But there really is a 1500 HD and it's kind of interesting. 30,000 miles, highly modified and lifted. No shit. Oh my god. Bids at $10,000. Now I have a secret. I actually looked at this one the other day. So I already know what we're about to see, but let me show you exactly why this car didn't sell. And it doesn't have anything to do actually with the fact that it's lifted on what can only be described as off-road monster truck tires, with a lift that can only be described as incredibly unstable. Like, are you telling me you'd want to go on the highway in this? No way. Literally, oh, size matters. Yes, it does, because it shouldn't be this big. There is absolutely no way that I would ever go on anywhere in this truck. I wouldn't even be seen in the same parking lot, personally. But I would never drive it anywhere because I want to get where I'm going safely, you know, without getting 1 mile per gallon. But if you look closely here, you'll notice there's no front drive shaft. We've got a rear drive shaft, but we ain't got no front drive shaft. And so this 4-wheel drive pickup truck is now a 2-wheel drive, which starts the interesting stuff. The bed has obviously been used quite a bit for a 30,000 mile truck. Actually, the bed is quite well worn for 30,000 miles. If those are DOT tires, I would be extremely surprised. Got the American flag on the ceiling. Got some custom gauge layout dealios, right? Got part of the gauge cluster burned out at just 30,000 miles. That's nice. But all of this has nothing to do with why it didn't sell. And here's why. You come down to the comments, right? Bid to $10,900. I haven't seen this one yet, but here's what the seller said when it didn't sell. Let me just browse through here and see what's good. I thought we would have broke even. That was our goal. We bought this rig for a promotion of a grand opening. I paid $20K and put $1,000 into it. I thought to myself, you've been in the game for 20 years and you have plenty of skin in that game. How could this running and driving a rig with prob $50K into it, plus the value of a $30K Ridge Mile truck, not be worth $20K? So against my initial feelings, purchased it and drove it home about 20 miles. With everyone totally breaking necks, beeping, taking pictures the whole way home. I thought, home run. Some dude in the Midwest is going to go bonkers over this rig, possibly bring 30 to 40K. We didn't really market it locally because we didn't think the market existed here, so we only sent the listing to Cars and Bids. And he goes on and on. They suggested a reserve of 25K. We agreed that was fair. I lowered the reserve near the auction to 22K. I'm sure it'll sell locally with a little effort. I want to thank Cars and Bids for their effort. And if anyone appreciated my transparency, you're welcome to buy the truck for 21. There's nothing wrong with what he said. But if you go back into the comments, and there's not a lot of comments, there are questions about the mileage. You know, especially because this guy points out that the cluster is from an Escalade, Denali Escalade cluster. Let's see what the seller said to that. The cluster is definitely from Escalade, though, unless that was a special option, too. So, yeah. Those tires look like they are retread and cut. Are those tires original, or are they had any kind of work done to them? Tires are not retread. This guy comments, and he says, "Thank you, brother. I appreciate your first-hand experience on building and owning a monster truck. These trucks are built for show and usually never see dirt." Here's why I think it didn't sell. Not only is it the most ostentatious thing, quite possibly ever on the site, but you can't come in here and do the aggressive sell, you know, when it's only at $8 grand. Ending today, the reserve will be lowered at noon. Let's get serious and bid to win, to be the only on the block with a super cool... Alright, got it. Reserve lowered. Got it. Alright. Reserve lowered again. This truck will sell. Let's get serious, guys. Don't miss out. Alright. I get it. You've made your point, you know? I like this comment right here, man. Another brodozer bites the R&M dust. Reserve not met. When people do these crazy builds into something that's borderline unusable, they need to realize the market to sell it is minuscule. If this were in stock form, it would have actually sold for more than double this price. Totally agree. This was flagged as inappropriate, but let's see what it says. This speaks to something, you know, and he says that's the unfortunate and inconvenient truth of modifications. You've got to find the right buyer. And I completely agree, you know. But another thing that happened, if you look in the questions, look at this. This is pretty funny. Just read that one. I'm not going to read that one, the top one. You can read that. Did my wife put you up to this? So, there were a couple questions that went unanswered. They had a serious seller on the hand here, David Gasper, apparently a serious seller. Talking about how Indiana has a 30-inch maximum bumper height. You know, how low can you drive this thing and how high can you put it? And the truck has to have airbags in order to safely run. Not sure of the height. Any lifted truck is above 30 inches, says the seller. So again, David comes back and he says, hey, look, all right, so what's the height of the bumper in the video where you're on the highway? Nobody answers that. Then David says again, sorry so many questions, but seriously interested, the tires are said to be dry rotted. What is their size? I'm finding it's about $900 each with just the brand and the model. Is that right? Completely unanswered. So now we have, it's a really ridiculous looking vehicle that is extremely niche already. We have a seller who's I mean, he's being pushy, let's be real. He's sitting here, you know, telling us to bid on it, basically. And then we have him not answering the questions from a person who's supposed to be a serious buyer. Somebody who's taken the time out of their day to try to research tires for this truck is probably considering putting a bid on it. To not answer his questions, like, why would you not answer the questions, you know? Why are you trying so hard to sell it by lowering the reserve, by commenting that you lowered the reserve, and then not answering the actual questions that were asked? It just doesn't add up. And then here we go. As stated in the listing, the sunroof is inoperable. No drive shaft is available for the front because it wasn't there when he bought it. The headrest mounted TVs are inoperable. The stereo is inoperable. It's like, so you put that much money, somebody, maybe not the guy who's selling it, right? Put that much money into a lift. An extremely complicated lift. And it has a broken stereo. Why? Honestly, I don't know a lot about retreads, but I agree, that looks really... It doesn't look right, those tires. Something about it just doesn't look right. Is there a closer picture anywhere in here? It's probably because they're soaked in tire shine. I can't really tell what they're supposed to look like. How many bottles of tire shine do you think they used to make this happen? How many gallons of tire shine? Okay, so AT2A. So Goodyear AT2A. Here's the tires. Is this them? Jesus. $886 each. Holy cow. That's... How many of these? 263 what? It says weight 263. Weight in pounds 206. That can't be right. There's no way. There's literally no way these tires weigh 263 pounds each. Huh. Maybe they do. Oh, that's what here, look at this. Here's what that seller was talking about, or the buyer was talking about. Let's blow this picture up. Zoom in with me here, if you will. And feast your eyes on dry rot. Covered up with tire shine. That is serious dry rot. Man. That's some serious dry rot right there. And that's on a vertical surface. Like, that's not our horizontal surface. That's not on the sidewall. That's on, like, a structural, like, the barrel of the tire. The part where it actually connects to the lip. To the bead. Fuck. I wouldn't go down the street in those tires. That's extremely unsafe. Can they seriously weigh 263 pounds? That is incredible. How in the world do they weigh 263 pounds? Probably because they're solid rubber tractor tires. like a skid steer tire. Wow. That's nuts. Oh, here's some more dry rot. You can see it actually coming to the outside on this one. And here's probably the best image. Wow. You see a date code on these things, can you? That would be the date code, right? Is that an 01 or an 06? We're going to see if we can figure out what date code that is, but in the meantime, this stream has not been sponsored by Giggles. Giggles. Forget Skittles, man. They never existed. Giggles. Always has been. Nope, just dumped them on the floor. Fuck. There we go. I heard before. Let's see what we got here. Actually, let's do this. Where'd it go? What's happening? Oh, right. Duh. That sure looks like 06. I think I'm looking in the right place, right? Like, I'm pretty sure that would be the date code. If that is the date code, that sure looks like 06. Sorry, apparently streaming and sharpening at the same time is a no-no. Yeah, that's an 06. Look at that. If that's the date code, those tires are 15 years old. Yeah, no. No. That means the next owner is gonna have to put $4,000 into tires by the time you get them mounted and balanced and shipped to you and all that stuff. $4,000 into tires to then drive what, I'm sorry, is a 2001 Silverado. You know, not exactly a brand new vehicle. Not exactly the most attractive truck ever made. And it's on top of this builder's lattice work. All I'm saying here is, like, when you design a truck to this degree of customization, like that commenter said, you've pigeonholed it. There's only a handful of people who are going to like it. And that's true of everything. I mean, my green Ford Fiesta, for God's sake, I'll show you a picture of my Fiesta and it's going to be the exact same thing. Not everybody likes my Fiesta because it's just not for everybody, you know? This is my Ford Fiesta, my 1980. It ain't for everybody. It's green, first of all. Secondly, it's a Fiesta. I mean, there are many reasons why, like green paint, gold wheels, the tires that are on it, the bumper delete, the fact that it's in original condition paint and not restored. All of these things whittle down the number of people who are willing to buy it. And that's just a fact of life. It's just the way it is. That M2 earlier could have been the wrong color for you. It could have been that you wanted... I think the M2 comes in manual still. Maybe you wanted a manual and it was automatic. But when you take a vehicle and you do this... You take it and you make it something that it never was, and arguably shouldn't be, because it's basically a display piece at this point. You've got to have a big old shop to put it in, or it's going to be sitting outside, and that's why the tires are dry rotted. Well, actually, they're dry rotted because they're old. You have to maintain the thing. The airbags are going to get rotted. You know, the lines are going to get... you're going to need to flush out the hydraulic systems. These are probably fluid shocks. You're going to have to sit there and maintain those. This thing will literally cost you money to own, and you're not going to get a lot of miles out of it in return. It's just the way it is. So, I mean, good on Cars and Bids, right? Awesome website. I can't nothing but good things to say about Cars and Bids. I'm glad they took this truck on. It's something interesting. It definitely brought people in. How many people viewed this? Oh, does it not tell you? It used to tell you how many people viewed the... Am I missing it somewhere? Yeah, it used to tell you how many people viewed the auction, didn't it? Anyway, I'm sure it was a lot. Good on them for accepting this. But if the seller really did pay 20 grand, it was either quite a while ago, or they paid too much. You know? Or it was a business transaction, right? If you're using this to maintain a sales presence outside your business, right? You're displaying it out on the yard to bring people in to purchase something from your business. That's one thing. It's advertising material. It's a business expense. All right, that's a whole different thing. But if you're buying this thing to own it, it's just not practical. You gotta have a big old place to put it. It's just not practical. What else happened yesterday? Today, the E63 AMG wagon went for $40,250. Darth J. Very similar to Doug's E63 wagon. Let's see what Doug said about it. The very first car we sold on Cars and Bids was my E63 AMG wagon in 2012. Hell yeah. That's badass, my friends. That is badass. $40,000 for a 10-year-old wagon. That's money well spent. Here on Classic Car Africa, this is not Cars and Bids, with a 72 BMW 2002 in Verona. No, it's Malaga, sorry. In Malaga. Same color that my car was. Yes. My BMW 2002, 1972, started out life looking like this. It doesn't say how much it sold for, but if I remember correctly, the price in Rand converted to dollars was something like $40,000. It was... might even have been $45,000. Did my email still pull out? I don't know, but I think it was somewhere in the 40 range. You know, it's had a nut and bolt restoration. It shows fantastic, you know, and it's Malaga. It's not a color that you see very often, but I like it a lot. It's a really nice deep red. It really does stand out amid the pastel colors that they used at the time. Y'all know me though. I would have left it looking like this. I mean, that right there that's perfection to me. You gotta keep that patina alive, friends. That Drake meme, dude, like, you know, you take a look at that and I'm like, there, that's the Drake meme. What else we got? What a stunner. Wait, it didn't sell? $64,000. Man. Wonder what reserve was on this. $64,000. Oh, it's only got 13,000 miles. Well, that makes sense. Again, my guess would be 65. I don't know why you would put a higher reserve than 65 grand on this thing. Oh, I love how he blurred his license plate out here. But if you're really, really paying attention, you can read it here. You gotta pay a lot of attention, though. It's almost hard to make out that it says LOL M4. I mean, you gotta really be looking, you know? You really... You gotta use advanced sleuthing techniques to be able to read that. That license plate would have helped him sell it. One of the best interiors of all time. The C-Class interior introduced in, what, 2014, 2015? Oh my god, it's beautiful. Just the way it flows, the way you sit way down deep in the transmission tunnel. Just a good-looking car on the inside. Man, really modern, really something. Lexus Land Cruiser. Pretty cool. I've got a Sequoia sitting outside. Same color. Yeah, I like me some Lexus Land Cruiser. A lot of money for a Lexus Land Cruiser, though, because it's got less than 200,000 miles. These things can have 1,000,000 miles and still sell for money. That might come to the garage one day, one of those. And I think that's about it, actually. Well, thanks for watching. I'm going to call it a day here. This has been checking out some cars and some bids on carsandbids.com. If you want to see some updates on the Triumph and the Fiesta and all the other cars, be sure to follow along with the channel. As always, have an awesome day, have an awesome holiday season. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Also, if you want to see me buy something on Cars and Bids, send me a check for $1 million, because that ain't happening.